People of power, welcome to Mount Fitness MBS Ministry, where I am your host, Brother Minister Mongoose. And if you're tuning in for the first time, let me advise you, or let me inform you right off rip, that this is a different type of ministry, and I am also a different type of minister. For starters, guys, this is a holistic mind, body, and spirit ministry. So it's holistic. Now, if you'd like more details about the ministry, if you'd like some information about myself, what makes me personally a different type of minister, then please stay tuned to the end of the video. But for now, let me welcome all of you guys whose hearts are in the right place. And I say that because we know that the enemy keeps his eyes on us. He likes to study us and watch us and check our development. And monitoring spirits are a real thing. So for those I bind, break, cast down, cast out, and destroy. But to all of my beautiful spiritual family members, hey, listen, welcome. I trust that you guys are making it through whatever challenges that he has caused and or allowed for you to be going through in this time. And I know that you guys are handling it and refusing to surrender your soul, your joy, your confidence, your love, your pursuit of excellence, your integrity, and all of those good things, man. So again, welcome. And I really do mean all of that, every single word, guys. Nothing on this channel is fluff, guys. I put my opinion, I put my estimates, my analysis, I put that out there in truth. If it makes you feel good, great. But I'm not blowing smoke to make you feel good. I'm putting the truth out there, guys. And I know that you guys can recognize the truth when you see it and when you hear it. So welcome all of my true spiritual family members. And without further ado, we're going to get off into today's topic, where we're talking about a subject that those of you who have been with the ministry for what I call my longtime viewers, subscribers, and supporters, this message is nothing new. I recycle, I regurgitate, I repackage the essence of this message day in and day out, or maybe not in a literal way, but day in and day out, from time to time, every couple of months, sometimes even every couple of weeks, because it's important. You can use the analogy of whoever your favorite sports star is, if you have one. That person, regardless of the field that they're in, they use the same training apparatuses essentially day in and day out, with some sprinkled change-ups in between. But at the heart of their training is the same exact practices, same apparatuses, same equipment, same structure. So someone that's practicing, your greatest soccer player, that's what he uses. Same old ball, same old net, day in and day out. A boxer, same jump rope, same heavy bag, nothing new. Swimmer, same pool. Golfer, same club and ball, and so forth and so on. So this is what is at the apex of our training, guys. And that is us being aware of the damage that doubt causes. Doubt equals the fast track to destruction. Let's just go ahead and establish that. Doubt is, again, it plants the seed that leads to destruction. Now, whether that destruction is a very literal thing, finances, physical health, whatever the case may be, or if it's more of a metaphor that points to the fact that you never became who you were intended to become. You never achieved what you were intended to achieve. You never grew past those hurdles. So doubt is tantamount to, putting, say some kind of poison in someone's soft drink. It may not kill them immediately, But over time, the damage is being done. Over time, the damage is being done. So we have to be on guard. We have to stand against doubt at all costs. And again, this ministry is all about, regeneration, recentering, decompressing, and doing things day in and day out, every single day, something, regardless of how big or how small, for the mental, the physical, and the spiritual being. When we do these things, when we clean our space, when we clear out negative energy, when we do a deep dive assessment into ourselves, our conducts, our behaviors, what we're believing for, what we're hoping for, what we're the situations and challenges that we are faced with. When we do a deep dive on these type of things, that we use some of these physical, mental, and spiritual training practices, whether they come from this ministry or elsewhere, this is what helps us guard against doubt, and to always constantly be on the lookout for doubt, because it seeps in, guys. It seeps in, and you may know somebody who, again, maybe there was a highly integrous individual, maybe they were very honorable, maybe they were very passionate about life, and they just didn't wake up 1 a.m. and that was no more. It was a constant trickle. You can trickle a small droplet of water over a stone in the exact same space, and it may take some time, but if you trickle that little tiny drop of water constantly, repetitively, it will make a indentation in that stone. And then once that crack begins to develop, say it may have taken 20 years for that crack to develop, but once that crack developed, then that hole that will go from one side of that stone to the other, that may only take another 3 or 5 years. It took 20 for that crack to begin. But once that crack has been made known, the end, the destruction is not far off. So we have to be on our guard, guys. Doubt is, directly opposed to faith, period. And the good book says that, we'll get into that in a minute, but I want to kind of put out a phrase myself in terms of, just the way I would word what this scripture that I'm about to quote says. And that is, without hope, a people will surrender to whatever madness there is, to whatever chaos there is, to whatever it is in vogue, whatever society, family, or whoever have told them they should be. They'll surrender to that. And they will simultaneously enslave themselves, and then ultimately they'll turn on each other. And they'll begin to blame and point fingers at one another, and ultimately they'll begin to attack and destroy each other. All born out of this constant trickle of doubt. And that rock, that stone, begins to decay. So that's what we run the risk of taking place. And unfortunately, in today's society, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, fortunately because this is Bible prophecy, we know that it's being fulfilled, and we know that the more and more the world spirals out of control, the closer and closer his return is. So fortunate in that sense, but unfortunate in the sense that, people could have done better for themselves. People could have made smarter choices. People could have struggled harder, to grow and change and evolve and to root out this doubt. But it kind of is what it is. So the good book phrases it like, without faith, which is the direct opposite of doubt. Without faith, it is impossible to please him. And again, most people have succumbed. Most people have been overwhelmed, and most people are just being controlled by doubt itself. Doubt keeps them inside the box. We're going to give a couple examples of that, and we're going to give a couple examples of how. I'll give one now. We'll give some more towards the end of the videos. Couple of examples about how doubt and or faith affects you. And it's, again, this is nothing new, guys. We're talking about the placebo and the nocebo effect. The placebo effect, people had terminal illnesses. People were told that they would never walk again, they would never see again. They had an unyielding migraine headache, whatever the case was, reoccurrent, asthma, whatever. They had these medical conditions. And the science, this has been proved by science as well as ancient, spiritual teachings that predate science and the Bible and the Quran and all those things. But it's been proven that in a strictly a scientific study, they began to give out these sugar pills. Again, you guys are familiar with this, but for those of you who aren't, here it is. And again, if you are, hey, this is just a refresher's course. They gave these people blank pills, empty pills that had nothing in them but sugar or salt or just some kind of empty powder that was nothing, just a blank pill. But they told them, hey, listen, when you take this pill, this is what's going to do it for you. Those headaches, you being able to walk again, train your body to walk again, pardon me. Your eyesight, whatever the case may be. Terminal cancer. And again, guys, don't take my word for it. Do your own research. If you like some information, some study material, or some reference material, reach out to this ministry. I'd gladly provide that to you. But across the board, universally, not just here in America, they've proven this age-old insight, wisdom, that be it unto you according to your faith. So when these people received that empty pill from a doctor that they trusted in, that they believed, that they knew were the best, that they knew had their best interest in mind, when they got that empty pill and that doctor told them, this is going to cure you. Based on that, they took that pill and miraculously, beyond science's ability to explain it, they got better. People that they know had terminal illnesses. People knew that because of certain fractures in the vertebrae at different points, they knew that scientifically they'll never walk again. And yet they walked because of that belief, because of that lack of doubt. They believed, they trusted, they had the faith. Now, this total direct opposite of that is the nocebo effect. Well, they did the same thing, except they told people that that pill was going to make them worse. People signed up, were willing to put themselves through the exam. It was a monetary-based, exam or trial. And they said, hey, by taking this pill, sometimes it was about, hey, just by sitting in that room, we've put something in the air, and we're going to pump something in the air. You're not going to be able to sense it. You're not going to be able to taste it. You're not going to be able to feel it. You're just going to pump something in the air. And based on what we pump in the air, you're going to start scratching. It's going to cause you to start itching all over. And they literally pumped plain air, nothing in the air into it. And those people, by the end of the study, they was peeling their skin off scratching. They developed the headaches. They developed the back problems, the foot problems, the cold sweat, whatever it is, because they believed. So that belief, they were believing in something that was negative, the nocebo effect. And that something negative, I'm using that interchangeably with the fact that they were doubting. They weren't doubting that it was going to cause them to become ill or whatever, but I'm just using that as an analysis of how, if you're not moving in faith in terms of something's going to work out, then you by default are moving in doubt that something is not going to work out to your advantage, and a person can easily end up with that kind of outcome. Now, I'll give some more examples towards the end, but this is what's at the root of what we're going through in today's times and today's society. People have surrendered their hope, they've surrendered their faith, They've surrendered their belief. And the root cause of this hopelessness, this despair, this mindset is that people have began to believe that success, victory, healing, prosperity, love, they don't believe that it even exists anymore. They doubt in it. And this is why you have so many people bitter and unfulfilled, because they've given up. That doubt has taken root. And they have unintentionally become all the things that they despise. Hate, jealousy, greed, envy, cowardice, lack of integrity. They originally despised these very things, but because that doubt trickled in, they become those very things that they despise. And unfortunately, this is the fate that has engulfed the majority of mankind. Believers, whatever that word means to you, if the enemy can get you to doubt, then you'll do his job for him. There's no need to bother or ponder with you or attack you anymore, other than to keep you in that perpetual state of doubt. Then you will do the enemy's job for him. The enemy's job is to distract, to deter, and to ultimately seek to destroy your God-given purpose, your God-given destiny, who you are, what you're supposed to do. And if the enemy can get you to doubt that, they go on to the next person. Circle back to you every now and again just to make sure that you're still doubting yourself. So we have to be determined. We have to be driven. We have to be relentlessly vigilant when it comes to doubt. Because as I mentioned, it doesn't just flood in, like a river. It trickles in like a droplet of water. And then ultimately, one can wake up one day and like, wow, how did they find themselves there? They're a loving person. They're a confident person. They're a believer in God. They're a faithful person. But all of that doubt has set in. Good Book says that without faith, it is impossible to please him. And that faith without works is dead. The Good Book says that without faith, it is impossible to please him. And faith without works is dead. Now, how can you put works with your faith if you're doubting? That means the faith, the effort, the steps you're taking, it's all watered down. It's all diluted because that element of doubt exists. And that in and of itself can minimize your true power through him. Just because doubt. If you have that doubt, then you're not going to ever do what you're meant to do by God. You're never going to become who you're supposed to become. You're never going to be who you're supposed to be. So what I want to ask you guys now is, if you do have doubt, and trust me, we all go through these seasons, guys. We're not going to sit here and act like we don't pass through these seasons. Sometimes they're recurring seasons by way of different situations, circumstances. But it's our job to be relentless when it comes to being vigilant, so that we can, by the grace of this thing that we refer to as God, we can root that out each and every time. It's just like planting a garden. Just because you go out there and pick that weed up once doesn't mean that weed isn't going to grow back and try to choke off the fruit and the vegetation that you're expecting, that you planted. You have to be relentless. You have to check that garden. And if need be, you have to pull it up again and again and again and again. So this is what we have to do, guys. So let me ask you guys this. If you're going through doubt, if you aren't going through doubt, or maybe you wasn't aware of the fact that you're going through doubt, either way, let me ask you this. What would you do in your life, in your situation, your circumstances, your career, all around the board? What would you do if you didn't doubt? Who would you be if that doubt wasn't there? What would you do? What would you be if that doubt wasn't there and you knew, just like that placebo pill, what would you do if you knew the outcome would be in your favor? What would you do? What investment would you make? What relationship would you pursue? What relationship would you end? What goals will you set for yourself? How will you walk? How will you talk? How will you behave? How would you comport and deport yourself if that doubt wasn't there? How would you act? How would you behave? And again, what would you pursue? And let's be honest with ourselves. There's something that's inside of you that if doubt wasn't there, and if you knew you wouldn't fail, you knew it was like that placebo effect, you knew that according to this thing we call God, I have given you a hope and a future. You're more than a conqueror. What would you do? Who would you be? Let's be honest, guys. Because again, there's investments, there's relocation, there's pursuing a relationship, trusting, hey, this person could break my heart, but what would you do? Pardon me. Who would you be? We've been attacked. We've traveled so many different roads and different miles, and we've encountered situation after situation, circumstances after circumstances, and we take responsibility that some of this stuff, perhaps even a lot or most of it, was as a result of something that we caused by our own hands. But again, this is what the good book means when he says that all weapons formed against you fail. It doesn't say all the weapons that your enemies formed against you. It say all weapons formed against you will fail. So you don't have to fear your own mistakes, your own setbacks, your own wrong thinkings. You just have to acknowledge them, go to him in it, and go to him with it, and know that all weapons formed against you fail, no matter where they come from, no matter what's their origins, no matter how intense, no matter how long the drought may be. It ultimately fails. So we've been attacked, and it's okay if you lost your way. This message is shining the alarm, or singing or ringing the alarm. When you don't walk in doubt, when you don't walk in doubt, everything that's meant for you comes to you. It flows naturally. You ain't got to force nothing. It just flows naturally. But when you don't walk, or when you walk, let me make sure I worded that right. When you're walking in faith, when you're walking outside or against doubt, everything that's yours, it just flows through you. It just flows to you. It flows to you. It comes to you. Good book says his goodness will track you down and overtake you. The good book says that your gifts will make a way for you. Some of your gifts is that faith, the gift of faith. When you're walking in that, everything that's yours can't escape you. You can make a left and he told you to go right. You can stand still, he told you to move forward. You're covered in mercy, you're covered in grace and his goodness. As long as his goodness will track you down, as long as you keep moving in faith and not doubt. When you move in doubt, then this allows the enemies to come in and potentially or seek to steal your shine, to steal your moment, to steal your adventures, to steal your endeavors, as well as steal your love, your hope, your confidence, and all these other things. We gotta stand against doubt, guys. It is the shortcut to destruction. So what I want to encourage you guys to do is to block out the noise, ignore the haters, and live outside of your circumstances, which is to say that your circumstances, I don't care how brutal, I don't care how impractical or nonsensical they may be, I don't care if you're in them alone with no one, absolutely no support system at all. I don't care if you've been circling that mountain for decades or 40 years, like the children of Israel. Your circumstances aren't bigger than you. Your circumstances aren't more powerful than you. Your circumstances aren't more important than you. Which is to say that faith that you have inside of you, refusing to yield and pick up the mantle of doubt. Those things aren't bigger than you. You're bigger than you, you're more powerful, you're more important than all of those things. The trying, the testing, the proving, and the refining of your faith. So again, block out the noise, the haters. Block it all out. Block out the noise that comes from within. The noise that says, you know what, I've been circling this mountain so long. I don't have a support system. No one believes in me. Whatever the case may be, the noise, the thoughts that you encounter yourself. That's okay to have those thoughts. Just be aware of them. Be vigilant. The old school saying is, you know what? You can't stop a bird from flying over your head. You can't stop those thoughts from entering into your head. But you darn sure enough can stop that bird from stopping and building a nest in your head. You can stop that. You can't stop when you go outside. A bird might fly wherever you want to fly. But you can make sure you don't stop and put a nest there. So the thoughts may come and go. You just have to make sure that they don't ever stop and build a nest. That's your divine assignment. I'm going to give a couple more examples, guys, of, how fear/doubt, which are synonymous, they walk hand in hand. I'm going to give a couple more examples. I'm going to get out of here about how the enemy job is to get God's children to doubt. If they could just train us to doubt, they can keep on controlling this misguided notion that we're civilized. All the things that civilized people do, yet society lives in, for the most part, in direct contradiction of what so-called civilized people do. They can continue to pull the strings on that and continue to have this world continue to walk in a blinded state, and everybody continues to be blind witnesses. They need to instill that fear. So let me give a couple more scientific examples, guys. They put some fleas inside of a jar, tall jar, but the jar wasn't tall. It wasn't too tall for the fleas to hop out. The fleas, they can jump out and spring out of the jar. And this is what the fleas did. But then what they did was they put a barrier down in the jar to where the fleas could only jump so high. And when they first put that barrier in there, the fleas would jump up, in an effort to spring out of the jar, but they would run into that top. And they would only jump up to that top, and that would be it. Well, after a generation of those fleas, or a couple of generations, then those fleas stopped trying to jump. They wasn't smashing up against the top of the jar anymore. They was just jumping barely beneath, the block that they had put in there. And so what they did was they lowered it, and the next generation did the same thing. First, they was jumping up to that previous height, Then after a while, they stopped jumping up to that, so they lowered it again. By the fifth or sixth generation of those fleas were barely hopping, barely tapping up and down. And so what they did then was they took the barrier out. And those fleas still, they didn't jump any higher than that lowest barrier that had been put in. They doubted themselves. They were lost. They didn't know who they were, what they were capable of. They stopped even though they had the potential, because of that doubt. The experience, hardships, the headaches, bumping into that glass, and that having taken place over an extended period of time, they lost sight, and all they had was doubt. The enemy didn't have to worry about them. They didn't have to worry about them jumping out the jar anymore, even though they still could. Another example is the story about the elephant. We know that story. They took the baby elephant, tied it out, put one chain around its leg, put a tire iron, it's essentially a tire iron in the ground. And at first, that baby elephant was pulled and cried and whined and struggled and yanked on it and gave it everything he had. But the tire iron was built and deep enough to hold the baby elephant. And this is true right today. They still do this. If you go to a circus or wherever, a zoo, whenever they want those elephants, put up so they can clean up or whatever, they put them out to that same tire iron. Because what happened was, over the years, the elephant got bigger. And so all they did was they didn't adjust the depth or the foundation of the tire iron. They just simply changed the size of the bolt and the lock around the elephant's ankle. So then what do you end up with? This 5-ton elephant that could pull that thing out of the ground just as easy as you can go to the bathroom and clip one of your fingernails. No effort, no strenuous energy required. But that elephant had succumbed to doubt. They didn't even try. They don't even try to pull on it no more. They made up their minds that it's useless. This is what the enemy wants to do to God's children. I'll give another example. Now prepare to get out of here. I'm at 33 minutes. Let's see if I can squeeze another one in, guys. We know the story about the mouse. All this is scientifically proven. The fleas, the story I just told you about the elephant, and I'll give another example, which is about the mouse. You put a mouse, or more to be more precise, it was rats or whatever, same difference. They put them inside this room, and in this room they had this giant pool, filled the pool up with water, and they made the edges of the pool too tall for the rat to be able to jump or climb out of. They filled the pool up with water, put the rat in there, went out, turned out all the lights, and that rat, or those rats, swam for about 6, 8, 9 hours maybe before they eventually gave up and drowned. And then they did an interesting thing. And see, the powers that be, guys, let me take a quick pivot. I'll go a little bit longer if need be. The powers that be, don't think for 1 second that they understand all of these animals on the earth, but they don't understand the human, what we call the human animal. Oh, they know. They could tell you everything about fleas. They could tell you everything about giraffes, elephants, any animal on this planet, orcas, it doesn't matter. Bumblebees, alligators, any animal, any insect even on this planet, they could tell you, well, it's going to live this amount of days, it's going to breed this amount of times, it's going to give birth to these amount of people, this is its natural habitat, this is the way it's going to perform if it's in that habitat, if it has this kind of environment, etc., etc. They know everything about it, and they know even that much more when it comes to the human animal, if I could use that term loosely, because I'm not a huge fan of that term, but you comprehend the point that I'm making. So they put this mouse inside again the room and turned off all the lights, and the mouse swam for about 6, 7, 8 hours. He gave up and died. But then they put the same situation, same circumstances, fill the pool up with water, put the mouse in there, but then at the end of the hallway in that dark room, they left a little flashlight shining there. And they put it to where that mouse could see, right in front of the pool. That mouse couldn't get out. But that mouse swam for during their 4 days. Why? Because that light gave him hope. That light kept him believing. He didn't doubt. If I could just keep going, there's an out up there. If I could keep going, that light removed the doubt. Now, ultimately, he drowned just because he was no longer physically able to do anything else. But again, you comprehend the point that I'm making. 6 hours to about 4 or 5 days. Are we serious? All because of doubt. That mouse that gave up, or those mice that gave up in that 6 or 8 hour time plan, is because they gave up hope. They doubted. There's nothing in their future. There's nothing in the future. Why should I grow? Why should I evolve? Why should I seek to keep going? So what are you doubting? Who you are? What you're capable of? Your spiritual powers? Are you doubting the information that he's downloaded to you personally? Or are you doubting that you're good enough? Or are you doubting that you deserve it? Are you doubting that, you got everything that it takes? What are you doubting? He's told you to make the investment. He's told you to lose the weight. He's told you to walk away from arrogance, but you know what? If I'm not standing with a certain posture, people might think I'm a coward, and, whatever form, just throwing out some characterizations of it, guys. If the shoe fit, wear it. And if these shoes that I'm putting out don't fit, and there is a shoe that does fit, you know exactly what it is in your life. With doubt. And go back to that question. What would you do? Who would you be? How would you behave if that doubt wasn't there? What would you pursue? Doubt, again, is a shortcut to destruction. And the enemy, him in and of himself, could never destroy you, your purpose, your destiny. It's only you that could play a role in that by way of doubting. If you'd like some information, some study material, some prayer, whatever the case may be, that this ministry could provide to you, I'd love the opportunity to speak to you. This ministry can, if it's his will for you to reach out, this ministry can provide you with all the above: encouragement, inspiration, good old-fashioned real life stories, prayer, specific strategies when it comes to mental, physical, and or spiritual exercises that can help you walk in the confidence, the assurity, the faith of who you are, what you're capable of, and what you're meant to do on this planet. And whatever you do, avoid doubt at all costs. If I can be of service to you guys, reach out. I'll leave an email link down in the description box for you to do so. And with that, I'll begin to close this message, which, hey, listen, it's a holistic mind, body, and spirit ministry. If you'd like some information about the services that are provided by this ministry that are designed to help you achieve mental, physical, and spiritual health and wellness, then I invite you to watch a video that's titled MBS Service Tutorial that's going to talk to you about these services, what they consist of, how they're implemented, how they can be beneficial to you, so forth and so on. Check that out. Again, it's MBS Service Tutorial. If you have any follow-up questions or if you're interested in the services, hit the email link I'll leave down in the description box. And please also visit the physical fitness branch of the ministry located at mountfitnessmbs.com. A lot of the information, a lot of the services that are provided by this ministry may not be for everyone, but physical fitness training is for everyone. So you can get some information about my experience and expertise in that regards. Again, that website is mountfitnessmbs.com. If you're already on a physical fitness plan, diet, but you want to try something new, you want to get to that next level, or if you want to just now take your first step towards beginning, whatever the case may be, check that out. Again, hit the same email link down in the description box if you have any follow-up questions. If you got value out of today's message, then please hit the share button, guys. Let's just start there, guys. That's the most important button of all. If you don't do anything else for this ministry, if you don't pour back in any other way, please. Because pouring back to this ministry is pouring back into humanity. Somebody out there may need to hear this message. You heard it. And if it resonated with you, if it provided you with value, then that informs you that it can also provide value to others. Hit the share button again, if you would, please. If the Holy Spirit moves you to do so, then please follow that up by hitting the thumbs up button for the YouTube algorithm. Hit the bell icon for notifications, and be sure to subscribe if you aren't already subscribed. If you'd like to make a monetary donation to show your thanks, support, and generosity towards this ministry, I'm going to leave an email link down in the description box. And remember that in whatever way He guides you to showing your thanks, your generosity, your support in all of the different ways or other ways that I just mentioned, He will. He's promised. He can't make mistakes. He can't lie. He can't fail. He promised that when you plant good seed in good ground, you will receive an abundant harvest, shaken down, pressed together, and running over. Again, I'll leave a Cash App link for the monetary donations down in the description box, and the dollar, send $100, whatever the Spirit moves you. Be sure to, again, hit the like, to subscribe, do all those different things, and be sure to receive your harvest by faith. Be it unto you according to your faith. That's what I got for you guys. This is a holistic mind, body, and spirit ministry, which to say that regardless of what's taking place, it's your divine responsibility and it's your divine anointing to make sure that your mind, your body, and your spirit remains as beautiful, as vibrant, and as healthy as possible. This ministry has been anointed to help you achieve such a goal. Reach out if I can be of service to you. That's what I got for you guys. I love you all whose hearts are in the right place. And I am Brother Minister Mongoose, and I will holla back. Peace.